drug addict.
Amen.
In recovery. Well, I've never been to a meeting like this where I heard, they were reading out of like a Bible and hear the young lady sing and her husband preach. I've never seen that. Let me tell you a little bit about where I come from, my experience, my strength, and my hope. And I shouldn't be standing because I'm at genuinely the same level. We're all on the same page here. Because really, all I have is today. Emmanuel Payson, was a hopeless, lost soul for a long period of his life. I'm 37 years old. I started drinking and drugging when I was 15. And I'm of the obsessive compulsive type. I'm the kind of guy that it's hard for me to look at you and even believe it now, after 9 years, because I was asked. But I've been sober. I was homeless. I lost everything. I was in places like this. I was in the same shoes you were in. I was in some Nike Airwalks that had no soles in them, and yet I thought I was something special because I had nicer Nikes from the outside, but the soles were broken, and I would try to believe that I was better than you, yet I knew I was worse and more lost than most of you. So all I could think of was the next drink and drug, or drug and drink, anything that I could escape reality from, anything that would enable me not to feel, not to think, not to be able to reflect. I don't come from I come from a home where I was loved. In spite of it, now that I understand a little bit more, it was dysfunctional, but my old man worked real hard. My old man never came home drunk. My old man was responsible dude. He still is, same thing. My mom was loving and caring with me. I didn't see them drink or drug. But at a very early age, I wanted to escape. And I really didn't know why. I just didn't want to feel. I felt since second grade, I felt different than you. I felt different inside, and I really couldn't explain it to anybody because I didn't know what was going on within me. And it took what it took. It's what it took. I had to go and destroy myself and destroy everybody that loved me was my targets. Those were the people I hurt the most. Was the people that loved me the most. But I couldn't see that then. I could see that now. After some, a long period of reconstruction. Because I am a meeting maker. I am a person that tries to help somebody, anybody. It doesn't matter whether it be in AA, whether it be here, there, anywhere. And I try to do it when nobody's watching. And when I'm not going to get praised by anybody. When nobody can say, hey, that guy's a nice guy. Because truly, I'm really not all that nice of a guy. I'm still selfish and self-centered to the extreme. Though sometimes, I don't think so. I dropped out of high school. I had that family, 3 brothers. I was the oldest one. Got good grades, had everything going for me. Not because I want to boast about it. I had a good mental faculty. I had good brains. I just, I didn't give myself time. I didn't seek out. I wasn't honest. I was dishonest my whole life. Since second grade, from the moment that I felt different, the first thing that I used was I masked it with dishonesty. lies. I lied for so long that my lies became my truth. And I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false. I couldn't. And I meant that. You could like put me on a lie detector test. I didn't try it, but I really believed it. I really genuinely believed my own lies. 15, I made a ninth grade. I made a decision at the start of my ninth grade class. I had some good teachers. I was in Glades Middle School, and they told me, "Hey, boy, you start with an A here. It's the first day in ninth grade, and everybody in this class, including you, sir, have an A." And I was sold, and I said, "You know, shit, I got an A, so I can keep an A." And I made the honor roll, which I never had much success. I was overweight, you know, big guy. The other guy, you know, got bullied when I was from 6th grade under. Then I grew, and I had a good hand-eye coordination, so I could defend myself somewhat. And I got a little bit better. I was a little bit more afraid, and in turn, I was a little bit, to those that saw me from the outside in, I appeared somewhat brave, or I had some intestinal fortitude. That's just fancy words. I could hold my own, but really I was genuinely afraid from way before that. From before the bully to being, I was never a bully type, but if you pushed me hard enough, I would react. And I felt confident in the strength that I had. It's about the only confidence I had. Everything else was a lie. So I go and I get those honor rolls, whatever. I transition to another school. And I didn't go with everybody else, and I went to Southwest. And I didn't fit in. I was back to that same feeling that I had in 2nd grade. I was right back there. And the first people that accepted me were the people that were lost. Mm-hmm. They opened their doors. They said, "Welcome. Come on in, man. No problem. We're going to go smoke. We're going to go." I know this is a message of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I am a drug addict as well. You know, so I'm dually addicted, and that's the great fact for me. And I rarely share extensively on it in AA because I respect AA, and that's what saved my life. And it was the conduit to what they were mentioning prior to me to start speaking, which was the conduit for my relationship with God, Jesus Christ, Buddha, whatever gets you to the top of the mountain, that gets you that peace and that serenity and that soundness of mind and that sense of ease and comfort that came from drugs and alcohol. Now I get it through a connection with a power greater than myself, which I simply call it God. Simply. Whatever it is for you, I respect. Just please find it. If it's Jesus Christ, man, chase that shit like it's the last train on earth, or bus, or whatever. Just go at it, because that's what keeps me able to convey a message of hope. So I get to that Southwest High School, the boys that seemed very welcoming. Misery typically loves company. You know, I'm here to report that. Still to this day, I can continue to validate that opinion of mine. I find it through my path as I trudge my road of happy destiny. So I started smoking pot. I started drinking. It felt real good. I felt better. I felt like I didn't care when you glanced at me. I didn't really care what you thought of me. What you thought of me didn't dominate me. I didn't care. If I was a little bit overweight, if I didn't particularly fit the role, my parents didn't have all that much money. My dad had to go away for a period of time. My brothers in special classes. Didn't matter. You know? It really didn't matter. So I was sold at a very early age before I was able to start maturing. Right about that age when us men and maybe the women might might start a little bit earlier. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I know about me. Right when I was going to start to develop as a young man, I started drinking. So, like the natural course of things, you start there and you don't start to grow up. You start drinking, you just stop. And what I did was I drank more, and I smoked more pot, dropped out of high school, I paid for the $50 GED at Lindsay Hopkins. I never went. I attempted to go back to school a little bit after. Hey, Mom, Dad, if I only go to Columbus, where some of the guys that I was in, that I made the honor roll went, I'm gonna be all right. So they moved the mountains to give me the opportunity. I passed the test, so I had the ability to go in without preparation. And within 9 weeks, I said, you know what, this is too much structure for me. This is too organized, I'm not ready for this. F this. So what did I do? I went back to drinking and drugging. Fast forward that, before I turned 18, my dad gave me one of the best gifts that he could have ever given me. And he told me, get the F out of my home, now. And my mom looked, and my dad looked, and I understood clearly why I was being asked to leave their home. And I went and I put the black hefty bags with my clothes that was just pulled out of the closet, and with the hangers thrown in these bags, and I went in the Cherokee. Mind you, I'm already doing wrong things. You know what we're gonna do to finance our stuff, If you have some kind of, if you learn from others, from the other gangsters or whatever, I learned how to make ends meet through my habits. So I was selling a little bit of stuff. Nothing to be proud of, nothing honorable about it, but that's what I did.
Sure.
That's what I did. And so I left, I had a car. And I went and I moved into 8th Street and 129th University Lakes, an apartment, and I began to what most of you will call, what is it, not a spot, you guys typically.
Trap. Trap.
A trap. I set up a trap on 8th Street and 129th, me and this big-headed Peruvian guy, and a big Rottweiler. He had a head you couldn't miss. You couldn't miss. But he was a guy I trusted, and we went and we did what we had to do. And we were typically, most of the time, afraid, though you on the other side wouldn't see that. Because I look you in the eye and I would put the face necessary, and I would do what I had to do in order to survive, though I was very afraid. Came the point that I couldn't do it anymore. I'm just telling you my reality. I couldn't do it anymore. I became my best customer, and the sequencing of events continued to get progressively worse, never better, and I became my best customer, which I couldn't meet the needs of the people that were supposed, and the chain of the madness began. Mind you, during the course of this, I'm 21, I stopped doing that, I get a little job, my dad helps me to get a job, I passed the test to get into the phone company, I don't even have a high school diploma, I get a phenomenal job in the phone company because I passed the test, which I took though. Now I have a girlfriend, and I tell her, you're gonna come and take the test with me because you're smarter than I am, so I'm gonna set it up so we both take the test, I'm gonna copy off you, and my manipulation and my angling used it, and I got in this job, so I'm making all this good, decent money. I'm abstinent from alcohol and drugs for a little bit, amazingly. Only because of all this shit, I saw myself in the dumps. Found a girl, and I met each other, and, she kind of helped me. She was my crutch. She wasn't my higher power. I took full advantage of her. And I lied to myself saying that I loved her. And I said those lies to her continuously.
Attention in the building, attention in the building.
And
Donald Baker. the front desk. Donald Baker, contact the front desk, please.
And I believed it. And I believed it. So I was able to tell my story with weight and depth. Because I believed it. Destroyed her life. Had a child with her, out of wedlock. Just destroyed it, lost a job, was there for a year, lied, cheated, stole, got promoted, got terminated for malicious conduct with a client because I didn't show up to the project. I didn't deserve that job. That was, I choose to call God giving me a chance at a snapshot of, hey, here's a chance. If you want to straighten out, here's an opportunity. Like I'm sure many of you have had an opportunity to a way out. That was my first opportunity at a way out. And it was a very good opportunity. And like a garden variety alcoholic, drug addict, I destroyed that opportunity. And everybody around, and I stole all the laptops. They terminated me. Guess what? I'm gonna come in because I still have that thing, and I'm gonna take all your laptops. Every boss, I'm gonna take it all. I went in there and I went with a big box and I took everybody's computers, monitors, everything. And I don't say it to be cool. I say it to tell you what an ungrateful, sick soul I was. Not because that was cool. It was not cool at all. I'm ashamed like you have no idea. I tell it to hear myself so I never make that mistake again. That's the guy that sits here in front of you. I was once that person. So I destroy all that. I get an opportunity to change my life again. The parents of her tell me, hey boy, come over to South America. You've been arrested a buttload of times. You're gonna end up in prison. You have a son. She's pregnant again. For the grace of God, man, don't destroy this girl that loves you. Please, you know your parents are good people. Come over to Uruguay. We'll put you on a farm. Maybe that'll help you. God, you know, I know God. Because I went to church. My dad still goes to church every Sunday and sits in the same seat every Sunday. He's a religious man. He's a good man. He means well. But none of that was enough. I go over there, I go work in a farm, I go do all these great things. I worked 7 days a week until I couldn't work no more. I got up before the sun came up, and I went and I rested when the sun was down, and I worked the best I could. I couldn't work any harder. I worked for a little bit. But came the time I needed some relief again. I needed relief from me and my pain. All that shit that I accumulated from second grade to at this point I'm like 20, 2000, I'm 37, 20, I was 24, 25. So I went to the nearest store on horse, rode my horse. That's my reality, I rode my horse. I had a big Arabian horse called Boss. Yeah, this is the truth. In a beautiful farm in Montevideo, Uruguay. A lying sack of potatoes. Over there concocting my, don't you know who I am? Look at this. And I could work hard, so I could kind of boast a little bit because look, I dug that lake. And I know how to operate that machine, and I know how to cut alfalfa, and I learned from the agricultural engineer and the veterinarian how to artificial insemination, how the stance of this, and I had all this because I'm a good liar. Because I've been practicing since second grade, mastering my skill set. And I went to the nearest, what they call it over there, a whiskeria. Like a little convenience store, and I went in there and I had a drink. And then, like most of my defects of character, I looked for women, to make me feel like a man again. And with that came the drugs. I found the drugs, I located it. I said, F the farm, I'm better than this. I'll start working in the cruise ships, taking tours, making more money. F you, the opportunity of bringing me here. F you and the horse you came in on. Don't you know who I am? Mind you, you remember everything I've done, right? There's There's nothing real special about me. I'm a high school dropout. I got a ninth grade education. For all intents and purposes, that's what I still have. Ninth grade education. This guy, just because he comes up and shows. I destroy that. And at this point, I have 2 children. I don't know nothing about the program of recovery. I know nobody in recovery. I just know about 11 arrests, maybe 13 arrests, I'm not sure, maybe 11 or 13. I went through Judge Goldstein's court, never did nothing. I conned my way absolutely out of there, being the good liar that I am, the master manipulator that I am, and conned myself through Judge Goldstein's program. Came back, I moved back to the United States on May 22nd of 2003, ready to change. I told her family the truth. This is who I am. I'm really not in love with you. I'm sorry. I'm not in love with your daughter. I'm sorry. These are my children and I will do the best that I can. But I need to just go. Can I borrow a suitcase? At this point, I don't even have a damn suitcase. The clothes that I had was bought for me. And I went to, got here, tried the best that I could. Didn't know much about the program. I had heard through those court dates and stuff, but never attended anything. And if I did, I was definitely, didn't hear anything. I might have gone through one time to some meeting of some sort, but I don't remember anything. Went out again, couldn't stay sober, then went to an indigent facility. At this point, I didn't have the face to. When I got back here, I went to my grandfather's house. My grandfather's a person that I value him very much. He's 86 now. He's my best friend. I don't give him as much attention as I used to, because I work a lot and I have a life and I'm responsible. But I promised him when I got here in 2003 in March, told Grandpa, I won't let you down. I'm sorry. All my summers I spent it with him, delivering milk to probably many of your houses when you were kids. That was my job, and that's what I did. Instead of going to summer camp, my parents couldn't really do that, so I would go deliver milk, to your doorstep. And he always loved me. And I always asked him, hey, Grandpa, you got some little extra money for a sandwich? And he always told me, yeah. And I'll never forget that. I'm grateful for that. And I told him that I was going to be all right. I wouldn't, I'm sorry for everything I had done to him and to everybody, but to him especially, because I loved him so much and I was so sorry. And I failed. I went out and I did it again. So I end up in central intake, and I go to this Jamaican lady, and I told her, please, ma'am, I'm going to die out there. I went on a binge. I had saved some money during the course of it. I had a couple of $1,000 saved because I was working. And I went out on a binge. I went there, destroyed, homeless, burned through everything, couldn't face anybody, and asked that Jamaican lady to please help me to get into a facility. I didn't want to live like this, and I couldn't stop, and I didn't know what to do. There might be some parts of my story that I might have missed, but this is the truth, and as to the best of my recollection. And she said, all right, and she got me, and I went to Spectrum. And I went in there, and for the first time in my 28 years of existence on earth, was I honest. Was I honest? And I was grateful for having a roof over my head and food to eat like you have here. And I didn't want to take anymore for the first time in my life. I didn't want to take no more. I sat in this little picnic bench they call it the duck pond back then for the inductees. And I sat there, and I had a pack of Broncos with 3 or 4 cigarettes, maybe 4. I was smoking the fourth one with a red lighter. I remember like it was yesterday. It had no metal in the front. And the first thing I thought is, hey, well, I got 3 cigarettes now. I'll call my mom, Tell her, look, I'm changing my life. Why don't you send me a carton of cigarettes? Come on. I'm a good guy. I'm gonna change now. I'm ready. And for the first time in my life, I took some responsibility and I said, how dare I? This is internal. This is talking to myself in this bench. And I said, who the F do you think you are to call your mother, you grown-ass man, and ask her to bring you something? How dare you? This voice that had never, ever came up in my life. Never. Never in my life. And I kind of looked and I was like, and I had a moment of clarity. I'm in this place, they let me in, I signed some papers, I got a roof over my head for sure. Everybody's crazy just like me, but I'm smarter than them and I'm better than them in here, and I'm probably much sicker than most.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a decision to not be a taker anymore in my life. And I had a moment of gratitude for the opportunity that was given to me, like a place much like this. And I realized it was an opportunity, it was a gift. And that I had no right to take advantage of this third opportunity. The phone company with the woman, the farm in Uruguay, and now the treatment facility that the Jamaican lady let me go and helped me out to get in when there was no beds. Because if now my ass was gonna be out there in the summer, heat cracking on my ass, on my tail, and the socks stuck to my feet and the underwear stuck to my tail. And that's the truth. That's the real truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful. So I grabbed that pack of cigarettes and I looked. It's funny, I could identify with the gentleman when he was sharing. I looked at this guy there that was sitting across from me that had no idea the dialogue that I was having in my head. And I said, you want some cigarettes? You can have it. Hey, you want the lighter? You can have my lighter. I quit smoking it. And I quit lying. I'm not here to tell you that I haven't lied again. I got up to that room, that bunk bed up on the second floor on that side, and I cried on my knees on that bottom bunk for I don't know how long, but it was a long time. And all I could say was tears would come out of my eyes. No man talked to me, nobody interrupted me, and I cried. And all I could say is I was sorry. Sorry and thank you, sorry and thank you in my head. And just tears just coming out of me, and grateful for having a roof over my head. And that next morning, I was ready. I was ready to change my life. I had made a decision. For the first time in my life, was to face the animal, face the demons, face the darkness, and not let the darkness continue to rule my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to shed some light by being honest and not being a taker anymore in my life, and giving something back rather than taking. And I went into the kitchen like that, and I cleaned, and I said, let me clean whatever. Is there something I can, you here, this is how this works, blah, blah. I'll take the nastiest job, give it to me. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to clean the dishes, for feeding me, thank you. Thank you for the roof, I'll clean, don't worry. I'll clean. Give me the nastiest dishes, give me the nastiest grease, give me the nastiest shit, because I'm grateful, thank you. I really don't deserve this food. I really don't deserve this roof. Let me earn it, please. And I would wash dishes and get I'm talking, there was a whole lot of people that were fed, me being one of them. And man, let me tell you, I was grateful cleaning those dishes. And I was grateful for the food. And I was grateful for the shelter. And I was grateful to God. I don't know why I I don't know how. I don't know why I'm still here. I don't know why I still go to, I do know. I just can't really give you a real concrete sequence. All I can tell you is my story, my experience. And I did that. Cleaned in the kitchen. I was there for about 3 months, maybe a little bit less. They told me, hey boy, you should go to a 3/4 way house and you should stay in some structured living. I couldn't maintain too much of a job. I was like general day labor with a shovel. And that's what I did. And I did the best shoveling I could do. And I was grateful. And when nobody's watching, I was working hard. When nobody could say, oh, hey, no, I didn't showboat. I worked hard when nobody was watching. And the results were good. I felt good. I started building self-esteem by doing an esteemable act when nobody was watching. I worked, and and I was able to see the fruits of my labor, being physical labor. I worked. And I got out of there and I could afford to pay for my roof and my food. And that's what I did. I took the suggestion, I followed the suggestions of my temporary sponsor, Darnell, and was a member of Little River, was coming up on 4 years, and I went and I moved into the condos on 67th and 7th for $75 a week. And I lived it. And I was Chico, the guy that lived in the last one, on the left-hand side when you walk into the gate. And I lived there for almost a year. And I worked labor, and I worked at IHOP as a cook on the weekends, and I ran telephone cables at night, and I went to a meeting every single day, and I was honest. And as soon as I had a little bit of money, I sent money to my kids. And I didn't go buy fancy Nikes. And I stopped lying. By the way, when I walked into the treatment and I gave those cigarettes, they asked me, so what about you? I said, I'm homeless, I don't have nothing. I have screwed and destroyed everybody. Thank you for allowing me in. I am nothing, I'm lost, I need help, please help me. That's what I told those people. Was in the condos, was there for a year, went to meetings in the river every day. I saved some money. Within a year, maybe a year and a month, maybe a year and 2 months, I had a $250 Honda Civic 1983, and I was honored to drive that car. It was falling apart, but it got me to my job. It got me to my job. And I was proud to have a shovel, and I was proud to be a cook at IHOP and making $120 a day from 6 in the morning to 6 at night on Fridays, on Saturdays and Sundays. And I was grateful for the opportunity to run cables on drop ceilings like this and send money to my kids. Because of all this, what's happening here is a transformation from a lost soul to a man that had, which I learned, I heard the song and I didn't know, an absolute arrested development, emotional, physical, and mental. Because I started drinking and drugging at a young age. And I was lying since I was in 2nd grade. Couldn't differentiate the true from the false, and I never grew up from 59 till 27, 26. So I started growing up, started doing the right thing, started telling the truth. Got out of that year and 2 months, and I went into a Pierre hotel, $650 a month on 43rd and Indian Creek. And I bettered, and I lived by myself, and I saved enough, and I became an operator for the Union Hall. And I was honored for the opportunity to work as a union operator, and I respected my job, and I showed up 30 minutes before, and I greased my machine, and I took care of the machine like if it was given to me by God. Whether it was dirty, if I got it dirty, I cleaned it. And when they told me, hey boy, we'll give you 20 bucks, load the truck, I said, you don't disrespect me like that. Don't dare disrespect me like that. Don't confuse yourself. I remember like if it was yesterday. I remember that first truck driver. Nothing towards you, sir. But I meant business. I meant it from here.
Amen.
Because I had a self-esteem. I had something here that I'm gonna protect now.
Mhm.
Now this is Emmanuel. My name is Emmanuel Payson. And this is my job. And I believe in God. And I'm gonna stay sober. And if I'm sober, I don't steal. And I try my best not to lie. I have a conscience. So things evolved from there. I lived in the Pierre. I bought a little truck with air conditioning. I worked 3 jobs. I went to a meeting every day. I sent money to those kids I left in Uruguay. And I asked God to forgive me. Mind you, every night I ran for an hour. And I cried every night. Because of the pain that I went through. And thinking of those kids that I left. And I was going what they call in the steps. I had a fist step on my own every night. I ran every night. In the Pierre, I ran from 43rd and Collins on that boardwalk all the way to the Eden Rock. I turned around the Eden Rock. I went down to 17th and I came back to the 45th. Every single night of my life. And I cried inside with the earphones on. Most of the time I would turn off the music. And inside I would cry. But I was sweating so profusely that nobody would catch up. When I lived in Liberty City, I went to Northwestern every night and I ran. And I cried. I was ashamed. I was ashamed of what I did. I left the Pierre, and then from there I went and I moved to South, and I became a member of the Sunset Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. I was a member in good standing in Little River, transitioned, kept my little membership because I was able to pay that membership for that Little River group. Benefits was that I had a place to go to, and I didn't care. I had a little bit of extra money, so I gave it to people that helped me, and I put plenty of money. I put everything I could in the basket, and I didn't want you to see what I put in that basket, because I don't want you to think I'm a good guy, because I'm not doing this because I'm a good guy. I'm doing this is because I owe. I took for a long time. Can I tell you what the results were? So I get out of there, and I bought my first backhoe with $16,000 that I had saved. I was left with 800 and change in the bank. And I started, and I would drive down Bird Road, and I would go and I would pull up to the job site with a little laminated piece of paper with my workman's comp exemption, with a general liability of insurance, and I said, please let me be your digger. And I would dig for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractors and general contractors when all the shit was blowing up here in 2005, late 2005. And I did that consistently. And my work ethic and my behavior tied in. And I learned it through program. My life got better. I continued to go to meetings. The more I got, the more I gave. I'm only telling you the part of the giving, not for any credit. It's because if you are like me, and you're an alcoholic and a drug addict and a liar and a cheat and a thief, and you believe this shit, there's a great gift by giving. If you don't have the money, give your time. If you don't have the time, give your prayer. Give something. With nothing, expecting nothing in return. And I promise you, with everything that I believe in, that you will see the results if you stay sober and you do these things. And you pray to a power greater than yourself, which you can call whatever you want it to be, as long as it's not you. And hopefully it's not drugs or alcohol. Like for most of us, or me, my higher power was always drugs and alcohol. Even though I was taught it should be God, or Jesus Christ, or whatever. So I bought that backhoe, and I did exactly, I went through the steps of the 12 steps, and I did everything that was suggested to me. And here's the result. I'm a married man. I've been sober 9 years, uninterrupted. I have never gone to jail. I have not been arrested. There's nobody in Miami that can tell you or me that I own 50 cents. There's nobody that can tell you that I bumped them. I sleep at night. I've owned homes. I've sold homes. God has given me a multi-million-dollar business that I own solely. And it's not mine, it's God's. I have 100-something employees. I'm not lying to you. I'm not telling you to be cool. At all. I'm telling you because God did this for me. And all I had to do was be honest. That's all I had to do was be honest. And willing and open-minded to a different way. And I say these things, I want to shock you a little bit with the amount of employees. From that guy that had the backhoe, now I'm a Department of Defense contractor. I work directly on contracts for the Army Corps of Engineers and the Navy and the Department of Interior. I have men working right now in Boca Chica. I have men driving piles in Cape Canaveral at the Canaveral Lock System. I have men in Bradenton. I have an office full staffed in Bradenton, Florida, in Tampa. I'm doing a $10 million job for the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm widening a channel. I got a marine facility in Brunswick, Georgia, that I owe nothing. You think it was me? You think I did it? I got a 9th grade education, man. I can't write a fucking letter, excuse me. I can't write a letter. I don't even know how to build. I still don't know how to use your measuring tape right. I don't know. I don't know. I just stopped lying. I was just honest. I just helped somebody. I tried. I did the best I could. Even when they were not watching. And I didn't expect nothing. I got on my little backhoe and I went to do a job. And if you didn't like my job, you don't have to sign my ticket, which I won't send you an invoice. And I trusted people. In spite of me being a crook, and a liar and a cheat, I trusted other people. You know why I trusted? Because I was trustworthy, man. Because I had built self-esteem by doing these esteemable acts, by giving back, by cleaning the pots and pans, by not expecting that life owed me something. Life doesn't owe us anything. You can breathe. You're a blessed man. And woman, you're a blessed man and woman. I'm here to report to you that if you do what is suggested in the program of recovery and you find yourself, the purpose of AA and the 12 steps, fast forward snapshot, it is a conduit to establish for you, help you, enable you to find a power greater than yourselves, which will solve your problem. The problem is not alcohol and drugs. Those are symptoms. That's fancy words, but they're symptoms. The problem is here, gentlemen. It's here. And it's here. We have a soul sickness. And it centers in here. God could and would if he were sovereign. If it's NA, if it's AA, if it's whatever A you want. Find God. Get honest. Clean the wreckage of your past. Make amends with yourself. Make amends with the people we hurt. And continue to lead by example. Make that decision. If it happened for me, and what happened to me is that I'm sober. I tell you the financial because I know most people like the material world. But that comes with a lot of responsibility and a whole lot of consequences. And a lot of burden. But life will get better. I give you my word. I swear on my children's life. On my children's life, I swear to you, if you do a little bit of what I told you, you will see the results. Now, if you don't, that's what you get. What you do, what you do, you get what you get. Try it. I encourage you. Thank you.
Amen.